what if something goes wrong? The million dollar question. So, smart private money lenders do not ignore worst case scenarios. This is a business where you have to think about the things that could go wrong. Like it would really behoove you to allow yourself to think about those things and to plan around them or to avoid them altogether by not funding the loan. So let's talk about how lenders actually think about these worst case scenarios. And I'll give you a story. Okay. So I had an event that I was at. I was a vendor at this event, and I was, sharing about my service where I teach people how to loan out their own money by becoming a private money lender. And of course, the people around me who are also vending, are interested in what I'm saying. And they're like trying to figure out what I'm doing. They're like, oh, you provide funding? Like, what you doing over there? So I was speaking to one of the vendors, and they explained to me their business, and it was great. And I actually bought something from their business. They had a fashion line, and I bought an item of clothing, and I liked it. And I was like, this is great. Now, fast forward, that person gets my information, even though I explained, I'm not here to get investors. I have a good pipeline of people who need money. I'm just here teaching people how to loan their money. But that borrower felt comfortable and wanted to reach out. So a few months later, they reach out and ask for a loan for their fashion design business. Now, the important thing here is I am not a fashionista.
It's a tough call. They're so different.
I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, I wear leggings and athleisure every day, pretty much. Okay, unless it's a special occasion. Now, I don't know one thing about fashion. I don't know one thing about fashion. Okay, so that's the first red flag in the worst case scenario. So keep that in mind. Now, this person requests a loan from me, and yes, I'm a fan of their business. I was a patron, so understand it, right? But I don't know the first thing about how fashion designers make money. So this person tried to explain to me like this is the loan amount I need. This is the loan term. And so those two things lined up for me. The amount and the term they needed, beautiful. It was like I think it was like $10,000 for 3 months or something like that. And I was like, that's what I like. That's what I need. Okay. I like these. Okay. Now, the interest rate that they wanted to do worked well for me. Like they just offered interest rate. I probably would have given them something lower, but look, they offered an interest rate. I said, okay, cool. And then I started thinking about like, wait, but like, how does this actually work? And so they told me what they want the money for, and you know, when they're how are they going to pay it back and all this stuff. Then they started sending me like documents, P&Ls, all this stuff, and I was like, whoa, 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 we're not at that stage yet. But this person proceeds to explain to me like how the business of fashion works, and I'm like, ooh, I might be in over my head here, right? And so I'm starting to think about the things that could go wrong, and I'm drawing a blank. Okay. And that's a problem. That is a red flag. If I cannot, in my brain and imagination, my God given imagination, if I can't think about the things that could go wrong other than just, oh, they may not pay me back, that means I don't understand the business that they're in. I do not understand their industry. Therefore, I should not be doing that loan. Okay. That's something to think about. When you're thinking about the worst case scenario, you should be able to come up with some things, okay? When I think about an industry I understand, such as real estate, tell me any kind of real estate. I can come up with a ton of worst case scenarios. Why? Because I've probably been in them, okay? So if we talk about a fix and flip, I can tell you a lot of things that could go wrong, okay? If we talk about a burr, I can definitely tell you a lot of things that could go wrong. Any kind of short-term rental, midterm rental, long-term rental, whatever. I can tell you a list of things that could go wrong, and that's great, okay? Because I want to think about those things and I want to plan for them. And I want to check with the investor to make sure they have thought about and planned for these things. The fact that I could not think about what could go wrong other than this fashion designer not paying me back is a problem, okay? So that is really something to think about. If you can't think about what could go wrong, don't do it, okay? Because this is a business where you want to be a little bit pessimistic. most requests that you get, you should be denying because most of them are not good. Like, and I'm not saying that the borrower isn't good. I'm just saying, like, it's not a deal. Like, it might be an opportunity, but it's not a deal. Okay. There are things you can do, conversations you can have to make it a deal. Absolutely. Sometimes. But for the most part, like, not every request is going to be something that you grant. And that's just how it is. So you should be able to think about what's the worst thing that could happen here? What are the different exit strategy options? How do I protect myself against those? Has the borrower thought about these different exit strategies or have they only presented me one? Has the borrower thought about different ways to protect themselves and protect my money or no? You also want to think about the disposition of the person behind the company you're working with and yourself, okay? If you know that there's 10 things that could go wrong, there's 10 worst case scenarios, and they all are making you tense and giving you anxiety, and you just feel very uncomfortable, you probably shouldn't move forward, right? If you're talking about these worst case scenarios and trying to understand the borrower's plan for them, and they're not taking it seriously, or they're just giving you vague answers like, that's not going to happen, or oh, that's rare, oh, that's never happened to me, it's probably not a good idea to move forward. Okay. Now, look, I can't tell you what to do or what not to do, but I can help you walk through some of the thoughts that you should be thinking when you're evaluating some of these loan requests that will come across your desk. Okay. So, in terms of what if things go wrong, you can plan for things to go wrong. And if you can't think of what's going to go wrong, okay, if you can only think of one or two things that could go wrong, you probably should not be doing that transaction.